Everyone, I hope you guys are doing fine and taking very good care of your health and you are taking full precautions against COVID. So my dear students, today I will be discussing with you the 10 most difficult questions that have been asked in the Engineering Services paper 1 from the subject of Basics of Energy Environment. My dear students, I hope you guys are also following our ESE 2021 prelims crash course series that we have started in the month of May. So from 5th of May onwards, we have started a crash course series for ESE paper 1. In that series, I have taken the subject of basics of energy environment, and in that series I have taken 6 lectures and 1 practice session. I hope you have followed that. After that, after my subject, Balaji sir has taken the subject of standard and quality practices. And then right now, Ashutosh sir is taking the subject of ethics and values in engineering. My dear students, that today the reason for this session is in all the subjects of paper 1, there are some questions which we find very difficult. Some questions are like we can say you have not studied and they come in the exam. So we are going to discuss those kind of questions today in this session. Okay? And at the end of the session, there is a very important announcement that I will be making. That announcement is related to this subject of basics of energy environment and some profit that you can make if you have understood this concept of the subject. Okay? So let's begin the session. I would like to start with my introduction first. I am Vikas Bhadoria. I have 5+ year teaching experience. I am taking thermal engineering from Thapa University. Mentored more than 10,000 plus aspirants for these exams, GATE, Engineering Services and SSCG exams. My area of expertise includes subjects of fluid mechanics, thermal applied and heat transfer subject, and I also teach the subject of basics of energy environment for ESE paper 1. So this is the first question that I would like to discuss with you guys. This question came in the previous year in 2017, and in this question they have asked, consider the following tertiary treatment method for treatment of wastewater. Actually this is solid waste management. It is from solid waste management topic, and from that solid waste management and combine the topic of water pollution. This is from both the topic, water pollution and combined solid waste management. In the water pollution, you study about different types of pollution or different types of pollutant that cause the water pollution. We have discussed about the different types of diseases that are caused because of water pollution. We have discussed about eutrophication, biochemical oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand, and all these things. But this topic, treatment of wastewater, that is also important. This question came in twice, 2 times this question came in the exam in 2 different forms. So these are the treatment. They are asking, consider the following tertiary treatment. Which of the above methods are correct? Which of the above are tertiary treatment of wastewater treatment? Ion exchange method, reverse osmosis, which is also called RO. In RO water, we use reverse osmosis process. Chemical oxidation method, this is chemical method. This is chemical method for purification. Chemical method for purification of water, wastewater. And activated sludge process. The answer for this question will be option number D. Because all these 3 methods are tertiary method. This is the secondary method. This is the secondary method for wastewater treatment. It is not a tertiary method. So if we discuss about all these methods, ion exchange method, it is a water treatment method where one or more undesirable ionic contaminants, ionic means which are containing some ions, are removed from water by exchange with another non-objectionable or less objectionable ionic substance. So the water will be containing some ionic impurities. Water will be also in terms of ions, cations and ions. So these ionic impurities will be removed with the help of ions that will be non-objectionable ions. Both the contaminant and the exchange substance must be dissolved and have the same type of electrical charge, positive or negative. A typical example of ion exchange is a process called water softening, aiming to reduce the calcium and magnesium content. Nevertheless, ion exchange is also efficient in removing toxic metals from water. Second is the reverse osmosis. It is a water purification process that uses a partially permeable membrane to separate the ions, unwanted molecules and other large particles from drinking water. Chemical oxidation method, it is a process involving transfer of electrons from oxidizing reagent to chemical species being oxidized. In water and wastewater engineering, chemical oxidation serves the purpose of converting putrescible pollutant substance to innocuous. Innocuous means harmless or stabilized products. The activated sludge process is a type of wastewater treatment process for treating sewage or industrial wastewater using the aeration and biological floc composed of bacteria and protozoa. So it is a very new method of treatment of wastewater, activated sludge method, and this method is basically used for wastewater treatment. Next question that came in the exam that I found is, it is not difficult question, but generally those who are from mechanical background, they would definitely answer that question, this question. They know what is the meaning of efficiency of a power plant, overall efficiency of a power plant. But those who are from civil, electrical, electronic branch, overall efficiency of a power plant. In the power plant, what happens? The chemical energy of the fuel is given to boiler as heat energy, and that heat energy is given to turbine and it produces mechanical energy, and mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy by generator. This happens in the power plant. Okay, so here we are having boiler, turbine, generator. Overall efficiency is the product of efficiency of the boiler, turbine and generator. The product of all these efficiency will give you the overall efficiency of the power plant. So it is nothing but it is 0.85 into 0.45 into 0.95, and the answer will be 0.363 or 36.3%. The answer will be option number C. So it was not a difficult question, but those who are from the other branches except mechanical, they don't know this concept of overall efficiency. So this question came in the exam. Question number 3. An association of two organisms or of different species for mutual benefit and where the individual may not be able to survive separately is called. See, generally in this topic of ecology, ecosystem, biodiversity, we have covered these things, but these are something which are miscellaneous things that are asked in the exam from these topics. It is also from ecology, ecosystem, biodiversity, but these are the relationship between the organism. This generally we don't study. Commensalism, parasitic means parasites, non-symbiotic and symbiotic. The answer will be option number D for this question. Commensalism is a long-term biological interaction. It is a biological interaction in which members of one species gain benefit while those of other species neither benefit nor are harmed. Example, the bee taking nectar from flower. That comes under the commensalism. That is, flowers will not get harmed by that, but bee will be taking nectar from the, basically it will take the nectar from the flowers and it will prepare its food. It will prepare honey. So bee will get benefited by the flower, but flower is not going to get harmed by the bee. Parasitism is a symbiotic relationship between species where one organism, parasitism means parasites. You know, parasites which live inside the body of a person and it gets its food from that person. Parasite is a symbiotic relationship between the species where one organism, that is parasite, lives on or inside another organism that is called host, causing it some harm and is adapted structurally to this way of life. The person on which that parasite will feed or live inside, it will also cause some harm to that person. Non-symbiosis means free living or independent. There is no relationship between the two organisms. That is called non-symbiotic. It is a type of interaction in which individuals of two different species or two populations function in very close association but don't affect one another adversely and beneficially. It is called mutualism. And this is called symbiotic relationship, which is also called mutualism. Mutualism means that the two people are associated with each other and they cannot live separately from each other. That is called mutualism, mutual benefit of each other. This question, this was question number 3. Now question number 4. BOD of a wastewater sample is estimated to be 180 milligram per liter. Assuming 4 milligram per liter BOD means biological oxygen demand. Okay, you know what is this demand? Demand is this is a demand of oxygen by the microbes which live inside water, and they need this oxygen to purify the water, to degrade the organic substances in the organic waste inside the water into non-harmful substance. So the BOD of a wastewater sample is estimated, this is given. Assuming 4 milligram per liter BOD can be consumed in the BOD bottle, the volume of undiluted sample to be added to a 300 ml bottle is nearly. So how can we solve this question? It is a direct formula. Volume of undiluted sample is equal to, so it is, if you have to find the volume of undiluted sample, it is nothing but it is equal to the amount of undiluted sample to is added to this much amount of water. This is a sample of water into BOD assumed to be used for that water divided by BOD estimated. So here the estimated BOD, this is the sample of water is 300 ml into 4 milligram divided by 180. You will get this value as 6.67 ml. This will be the volume of undiluted means, diluted means which is mixed. Undiluted means where the BOD is not mixed. Undiluted means that is sample of water which is not diluted. Okay. So the answer for this question will be option number A, 6.7. Question number 5. This Venturi scrubber, this question came in the exam. This Venturi scrubber is basically air pollution control equipment, which is used to remove the harmful dust particle from the gases. It is also it is air pollution control equipment. It is also comes under wet scrubber, which is used to remove the dust particles. It is used to remove the dust particles or the particulate matter from atmosphere. Particulate matter means suspended particles of very fine size. So this works on the principle of the answer will be removal by atomized water vapor. Okay, it removes the particulate matter by with the help of atomized water vapor means some gas particles. The atomized gas particle will be used to remove the harmful particulate matter. So this is how the Venturi scrubber looks like. The contaminated gas will enter into the scrubber from this side, okay, and the liquid, which is the water, steam, will enter from this side. This liquid will be entered with the help of a nozzle, a spray nozzle. Nozzle will increase the velocity, very high velocity. So the contaminated gas, whatever dust particle will be there, that will be removed, and the clean gas will be removed from here. And liquid receiver, this is a liquid receiver where the liquid will be collected at the bottom and scrubbing liquid will be taken out from here. A Venturi scrubber is designed to effectively use the energy from high velocity inlet gas stream to atomize the liquid being used to scrub the gas stream. Scrub means like we do scrubbing, cleaning process. So it is also cleaning of that harmful gas which is containing some particulate matter. This is the contaminated gas, and that gas is being cleaned with the help of highly atomized gas particles which are coming from here. So these particles will be atomized with the help of a spray nozzle, and after atomization it will remove the harmful impurities or particulate matter. It will absorb that, and the particulate matter will fall down here and the clean gas will come out from here. This is a numerical question that came in the exam. So this was 5, question number 6. This numerical question came in the exam in ESE 2019. It is also unexpected question because we generally don't expect a numerical, that too from biomass energy. Biomass energy, it is a topic of energy, and generally a numerical is not expected from this topic, but still numerical came. And that too numerical was, they have given the number of cows. This is the data of a biogas plant. They have given number of cows as 5, retention time is 20 days. Temperature is 300 degrees Celsius. Dry matter consumed is 2 kg per day. Biogas yield, production of biogas is 0.24 meter cube per kg. Efficiency of the burner, which is producing the biogas, is 60%. Methane, which is an important gas that comes out from the biogas plant, it is having 0.8 percentage proportion. Heat of combustion, that is calorific value is 28 megajoule per meter cube, and density of material this much. So you have to find the power available from resistor. So the simple formula will be power available. If you have to find the power available, it will be volume of gas, volume of methane gas, okay, into efficiency of the burner into the heat of combustion. Okay, so volume of methane gas, how can you find? Total dry matter consumed, total dry matter will be equal to this. Dry matter consumed is 2 kg per day. Total dry matter will be 2 into 5. Number of cows are 5, so it will be 10 kg per day. Volume of gas is equal to biogas add is this much. So total biogas yield will be equal to 0.24 into 10. That will be 2.4 meter cube per day. And in that biogas, the volume of methane gas will be equal to into 0.8. So volume of methane gas will be equal to volume of methane gas will be 2.4 into 0.8. Just put everything here. The power available will be equal to 2.4 into 0.8 into efficiency of the burner, which is 60%, 0.6 into this 28 megajoule. So you will get this value as 32.3 megajoule per day. Approximately you will get this value. Option number C. Okay, clear everyone? So let's move to question number 7. This question is also a very unexpected question. This is from the topic of disaster management. Disaster management. This is also a topic which is not written in your syllabus as such. But the question came from the disaster management or sustainable development. They have written disaster management or waste management topic. Okay. So from this topic, this question came in the exam. So my dear student, which of the following is an iterative and evolutionary process for achieving a sustainable development? Iterative and evolutionary process. So the answer for this question will be integrated coastal zone management, because all the other processes are not evolutionary process. They are not evolutionary. No evolution have been done here. Especially the solid waste management is not an evolutionary process. It is not an iterative. We don't do any kind of iteration here. Iteration means number of steps. But in the integrated coastal zone management, it is definitely an iterative and evolutionary process for sustainable development. So objective of solid waste management are to control, collect and process, utilize and dispose of solid waste in an economical way consistent with the public health protection. That is the solid waste management. While integrated coastal zone management is a resource management system following an integrative and holistic approach and an interactive planning process in the address complex management issues in the coastal area. So this is basically the integrated coastal zone management. Next question that came in the exam, question number 8. This is also from solid waste management topic. Solid waste management topic, it is difficult because all the other topics which have been mentioned in the syllabus are generally people study because energy and conservation, environment conservation, pollution control, climate change. But this topic, solid waste management, it is not expected that question will come, and that too these people generally don't study these topics. Okay. Even I told you that the question comes in the exam from this topic. One question comes sometimes. Okay, not two questions, but one question definitely comes from solid waste management in 1 year. So this is one question that came. Which of the following is a hygienic way of disposing solid waste and is more suitable if the waste contains more hazardous material and organic content? The answer will be incineration, which is also called direct combustion. Oxidation it is a chemical method. It is a chemical method of waste treatment. Okay. So this is also important, but this is chemical method of waste treatment. Subgrading It is also a kind of a method, but that does not come under soil waste management, and especially not for hazardous material. What is composting? Composting is an aerobic method, meaning that is requires the presence of air of decomposing the organic solid waste. It can therefore be used to recycle organic material. The process involves decomposition of organic material into humus-like material known as compost, which is a good fertilizer for plant. जैसे आप देख सकते हैं, here you can see that the organic waste, like we can say the uh, remains of the egg, the upper part of the egg, the that is the upper part of the potato, and all these are basically decomposed, and from that a good manure is produced, and that manure can be used as a fertilizer for the plant. So composite, I think composting already we have discussed. Let's talk about the question number 9. Which of the following are the suggested ways of reducing the NOx emission from stationary sources? So for that question, the answer is incineration. Incineration is direct combustion of the fossil fuel. So for the hazardous material, we use incineration method. This question is little bit, although it is very simple question, but it is little bit tricky. Nitrogen oxide emissions, oxides of nitrogen, how can we reduce that? By reducing the peak temperature. Yes, that is a method for reducing nitrogen oxide emission. At high temperature, nitrogen oxide emissions increases. So if you reduce the peak temperature, it can be reduced. By increasing the availability of nitrogen for reaction with oxygen, or by revising C, nitrogen oxide is formed by reaction of nitrogen with oxygen at high temperature. At high temperature. If temperature will be more, it will be producing nitrogen oxide emissions. But the question is, here they have written by increasing availability of nitrogen with oxygen. If you increase nitrogen with oxygen, same oxygen, it will increase the nitrogen oxide emissions. Or if you increase the oxygen for same nitrogen, it will increase the nitrogen oxide emissions. So better way is to reduce nitrogen availability. If the nitrogen availability is less and oxygen availability, both should be reduced. If we don't increase the nitrogen and oxygen availability, if nitrogen is less to react with the oxygen, and if oxygen is less to react with the nitrogen, in both the ways we can reduce the NOx emissions. We can reduce the NOx emission. So this cannot be correct because it is increasing the availability of nitrogen for reaction with oxygen. The answer will be 1 and 3. So the right answer will be option number B, 1 and 3. So that is a simple way. It is simply a chemical reaction that because nitrogen oxide is formed by reaction of nitrogen with oxygen. If you increase the availability of any of these two components, it is going to increase the nitrogen oxide. So we have to reduce both nitrogen and oxygen for their reaction with each other. The last question, that difficult question that I feel, is a totally unexpected question that nobody would have thought. This question is from the concept of fluid mechanics, and that too fluid mechanics concept mechanical and civil engineer can understand, but not electrical and electronics engineer. Even mechanical and civil engineer generally don't study this Stokes law. Although Stokes law is already, most of the people know about Stokes theorem, Stokes law. Stokes gave the theorem for settling of the particle depends on terminal velocity. He gave the expression for terminal velocity. The answer for this question will be option number A. It is a direct formula based question. In this terminal velocity relations, C is the basically the drag coefficient. It is a drag coefficient or constant. This is density of the particle, density or diameter of the particle, density of air, viscosity of air, air pressure. So all these are the terms which are given here. Okay. Please remember this formula. All this formula looks very similar. It is simply G, that is acceleration to gravity into diameter of particle square divided by 18 into viscosity of air, density of the particle minus density of air into 1 plus 2c by dp into p. P is the pressure here. So what is this Stokes theorem? Basically, Stokes gave a formula for finding the terminal velocity, and for that he believes that when a particle falls through a fluid, when particle enters into a fluid, it accelerates because of the gravity. Because of the gravitational force, that particle velocity will increase. The fluid will drag the particle in unison to reduce inertia. At the same time, when the fluid will be, when that particle will be, that particle will fall in that fluid will be drag. It will experience a drag force. So the fluid will be falling with a gravity weight or gravity force, and it will be experiencing a drag force from the bottom. A drag force. This is a drag force, opposing force. Okay. By the acceleration of the particle ceases. So after some time, the acceleration of this fluid particle, the particle which was moving with the acceleration, that will stop and it will fall down with a constant velocity. That velocity is called terminal velocity. Quantification of terminal velocity is made by balancing the fluid drag force and submerged weight of the particle. If you balance these two things, you will get the terminal velocity, and that terminal velocity you get with this relation that is given by Stokes theorem. Okay, so that was a question that came. It was totally unexpected question, so I thought we should discuss about that. So I want to tell you something here, that whatever question we have discussed today, some of the questions are directly given the syllabus of basics of energy environment. Some of the topics are not written in the syllabus. Okay, like solid waste management, disaster management. I have taught all the topics in the syllabus except these two topics, solid waste management and this disaster management. I will take an extra class. I will talk to my team regarding that. I will take an extra class for teaching you these two topics, so that if question comes as exam, you would be able to answer that. Okay. But now comes a very important thing. Apart from solid waste management and disaster management, I have a very important thing to tell you, that GradeUp is going to take a very important session. I'm going to take a very important session on 26th of May at 8 p.m. on GradeUp app, and that session is basically called as Learn While You Earn. Basically, learn while you earn means that learn while you earn, or earn while you learn. We can say in both the way, earn while you learn or learn while you earn. Basically, the subject of basics of energy environment, I have taken 6 theory classes in this YouTube channel and 1 practice session. I have already taken that. Okay, so 6 theory classes and 1 practice session for this subject I have taken in the YouTube channel. If you have not seen those videos, they are already there, already taken in YouTube. Okay, so in this YouTube channel, I have already taken these 6 theory classes and 1 practice session on this subject of basics of energy environment, and based off whatever I taught you, and including the topic of solid waste management and disaster management, I will be taking a quiz session, and that will be assessment session, where we'll be discussing 20 questions, 20 best questions of this subject. Okay, and those students will be able to, and that will be a quiz session. It will be quiz session means you have to, I will give you the options and you have to give me the answer. Okay, I will give you 4 options, you have to give me the answer, and those who will get first rank. See, first thing, that is, it is earning. You will be learning something. But when you learn something, if you are able to get first rank in this quiz session, you will also get 500 rupees. You will able to earn this 500 rupees. Those who will get first rank, and those who will get second to third rank, they will get 300 rupees cash prize. This cash prize will be given to you in Paytm, in your Paytm wallet. Okay, so through Paytm will be providing you this cash prize, and that will be, it will be directly coming in your Paytm balance. Okay, so my dear, through Paytm will be providing you this amount of 500 to the first ranker, and second and third ranker, it will be 300 rupees. Okay, so there is no limitation. There can be 3 first ranker, there can be 2 second ranker, 3. So those who will come from 1 to 3 in this test, in this quiz session, from the subject of basics of energy environment, you can get this money also, this cash prize along with that. you can learn also. Okay. So for that, I would request, this test will be on 26th of May. You have still got a lot of time. Just revise from these classes that I have taken uh, in the YouTube, because the questions are going to come more or less from those concepts that I taught. It will not be from these questions that I taken. I have taken around 60 questions or 50 questions in these classes, but the question will not be from that. It may be from that more or less, but it will be new questions. All new questions will be there. But those who will get first rank and second to third rank, they will get these exciting prizes. So that is a very important thing I have to tell you. And if you have understood the session, if you have understood these 10 difficult questions, then please like the session, share the session, or if you are watching this recorded video, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss any videos from our YouTube channel. Okay, so that was very nice, and I hope you all have understood this session. And in this 30 minutes, around 30 minutes, I have tried to cover a lot of things. I hope you were able to understand that. So thank you so much for watching this session so patiently, and I hope you all have understood these difficult questions that I have selected for this session. And I will be waiting for you in the assessment quiz session on 26th of May at 8 p.m. only on GradeUp app. This session, quiz session, will be only on GradeUp app. Okay. So thank you so much. Have a nice day. Take care everyone. Okay. So अगर आपको अच्छा लगा सेशन को, तो GradeUp के साथ तैयारी करते रहिए, क्योंकि GradeUp के साथ सही प्रेप है तो लाइफ सेट है. थैंक यू एवरीवन.